as I conclude, I have seen one of the emeritus presidents of this, Dr. Oria, who said, President, if you are around here, please can you say hello? Anyone from the council? Council members, Dr. Baba is being introduced, and the secretary. Any council member? Any other council member? From the previous councils as well? Giving us the images, the photography and video. These are pharmacists-owned businesses. And we do not choose them because they are pharmacists. No, they gave us the best fits because they know that this is part of their work. It's part of their service, so they don't have to charge us consultancy fees. Because they would have been here anyway for the AGM and for the CPD. So thank you so much, our service provider. Thank you so much, our organizing committee, and all of you for coming to this year's CPD. I'd like to hand over back to the CPD chair, Dr. Nono.
Thank you, President. I think we can give him a better round of applause. Thank you so much, President and Secretary. Our guest of honor is just around the corner, but as we wait for her, I'd like us to proceed with our program. And next on our program, we'll have a keynote presentation from the program states Dr. James Tamale, but Dr. James Tamale has dedicated someone who is going to make the presentation on his behalf. And Dr. Modasiru Serugo is here to stand in for Dr. James Tamale, and will make a presentation on policy shifts and their impact on pharmacy practice in Uganda. This session is going to be moderated by one of our very own, Dr. Radiana Kamera, who is also a member of the Education and Profession Development Committee that has organized the CPD today, and the committee that has always organized the CPDs that we have had throughout the year. We also have other members who I would like to recognize on this committee. We have Dr. Daniel Chance-Mwanda. Kindly wave to us. Yes, Dr. Daniel Chance-Mwanda is a very active member of this committee. We also have Dr. Sylvia Naluja, who is our secretary of the committee. Dr. Sylvia? Yes, thank you so much. We also have Dr. Faith Niwandinda. The committee also has Dr. Adrian Dungu Chivambi. So thank you, committee members, for all your efforts today and all the efforts you have always put in to see that the committee's work moves on. Thank you, and without wasting time, I'd like to invite our moderator, Dr. Radiana Kamera, who is the hospital pharmacist of Nakasero Hospital. She is also a clinical pharmacist in the making, but almost there. She's been studying her master's degree in clinical pharmacy. She has a lot of experience in clinical pharmacy and hospital practice, and we hope that she can share her experience with us. Thank you so much, and I welcome you to take over the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Muru. Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank you for this opportunity to welcome our next speaker. And our key speaker for the next presentation is called Dr. Mudathir Serugo. He's the Principal Inspector of Drugs Licensing at National Drug Authority, and he's going to be talking about policy shifts and their impact on pharmacy practice in Uganda. So we know that changes in health policy in shaping pharmacy practice in our country. So to guide us in this important discussion, I would like to make welcome Dr. Mudathir Serugo.
Thanks so much, Doctor, for that introduction. Allow me to say good morning, everybody here. Allow me to recognize the presence of the President of the Pharmaceutical Society of Uganda, the Secretary of the Pharmaceutical Society of Uganda, the Council members, and our stakeholders who are here today, as well as my fellow pharmacists in the profession. Allow me to say good morning once again, and I also welcome you to today's CPD. As I've been introduced, my name is Serugo Mudathir. I'm a pharmacist with registration number 845, and I'm currently an inspector of drugs at the principal level with the National Drug Authority in licensing. I'm here to represent my supervisor, who is the Chief Regional Inspector of Drugs, Dr. James William Tamale. He has sent his apologies, he's not in the country, but he's with us online. In case of any question, he'll answer the questions if I fail to do that. But I hope I'll be able to manage. As the topic is policy shifts and implication on pharmacy practice in Uganda. So we are going to concentrate for the next 10 minutes. There are many policy changes, but we chose about 4 or 5 in the interest of time. The outline of my presentation, we have a small definition of policy shifts, and then we are going to talk about the major shifts in the pharmacy practice, the overall implication of this practice, and the way forward as pharmacists. But as I was introduced, I'm from the licensing unit. I smuggled in a topic, something small, about renewal of pharmacy licenses, because it's an opportunity I have to meet a very big number of pharmacists. Policy shift, I googled the definition. It means a significant shift in government or institutional policies. Governments everywhere, the shifts, the policies are not static. They keep on changing from one policy to another. So when there is a change in policy, we call that a policy shift. It's not only in medical and pharmacy practice, it cuts across. But when it comes to the medical profession, such policy shifts affect the work of we, the health workers, as well as the patients whom we serve. So these policy shifts have a direct impact on our work as pharmacists. So one of the shifts that we have in policy now is changes in legislation. As you are aware, as you've seen over the media, the National Drug Authority and Policy Act and is being replaced by the National Drugs and Health Products Authority Bill. This is something which is very close to becoming a reality. The agency has chased this for about 10 years, but it is now before Parliament, and very soon it will become a law in Uganda. This bill seeks to expand the scope of regulation. The current law, dated 1993, was much restricted to medicines, but the world has changed. Now the scope is changing to include medical devices, the herbal products, the cosmetics, and other healthcare products. So what we have been regulating as NDA, we are now increasing the scope to include all these products. What does this mean? The law has come with some changes, and one of the changes is that it is refining the medicine supply chain. Those who are experts in supply chain, the Ugandan supply chain is one of the most complicated, because we have manufacturers, we have wholesalers, we have retailers, we have everybody can import, but we are now streamlining or making the supply chain linear by introducing a new unit of licensing known as the distributor. So now it's going to be from a manufacturer to a distributor to a wholesaler, wholesaler to retailer, and then the retailer to the final consumer. That's how the supply chain is going to be. What does that mean also? That we are revising the import policy. Currently, everybody who has a license, whether retail pharmacy or wholesale pharmacy, would get an import license, and that import license would be annual. When you have that import license, you can import drugs throughout the year. There is a change for those who are at this act. The import permit is going to be tagged to the consignment you are bringing. We no longer have the annual import permit. Now, if you meet the requirements to import a certain consignment, then we shall give you, or the agency will give you an import permit. It's no longer annual as it used to be. All this is geared towards streamlining the import process and the supply chain of medicines. The agency has noted a lot of misuse of import permits. Somebody has an annual import license and imports without a verification certificate. When you try to take this person to court, court declares that this one gave him an import license, therefore is importing legally. So now the import permit or license is what has been known as the verification certificate. It will be issued per consignment. And the thinking in the act is that the distributors will be the primary importers. They import from the manufacturers, the distributors, then the wholesalers buy from the distributors, the retailers buy from the wholesalers, and then the retailers can issue these drugs to the primary consumers. We are also having more compliance requirements in the new act. Distributors have to comply with what we call good distribution practices on prescription, and the requirement of a prescription has been well explained in the act. So I implore you to get time and look at this act. The business of just dishing out drugs without a prescription might be coming to an end. There is also a requirement for pharmacovigilance, as health workers were required to report adverse drug reactions. The distributors will be expected to set a strict and robust pharmacovigilance system which will be routinely monitored and inspected by the agency. There are strict penalties that are coming up with act for operating without a license. Operating without a license does not mean that you are in Google, but even delayed submission for a license. We have pharmacies that take 2 years without a license. Somebody comes to NDA that I just licensed in 2021 individual, it goes up to 10 million shillings. The next shift, the policy which we did talk about is digital transformation. As you are all aware, all our processes at NDA, they are now being handled through IRIS. That is licensing, registration, imports. We are now even adding in things like submission of drugs for destruction. It's going to be through IRIS. What's the use of this digital transformation? Is to enhance efficiency and transparency. Now, because policies are based on data, with this new system, we shall, make policies based on real data. You can now track which batch of the product has come to the country within real time. Other than that, it's also aimed at increasing strategies for management of controlled drugs across the entire supply chain. So please, pharmacists, I encourage you to become digital and get the tools so that we can do the processes online. Other than that, there is another policy shift on import substitution. The country has been relying much on imported drugs, about 90%, but as a country, we are shifting towards locally manufactured drugs. And the ADSA, with the country, has instituted a number of incentives to promote local manufacturing. One of them is the BUBU products where we have a large capacity to produce. Verification fees have been raised to 12%. The new fee structure is actually raising them to 17% for products which can be manufactured locally. Another one is that we are organizing trainings for the local manufacturers and equipping them. This list of products which are carrying a tariff of 12%, which is being revised to 17%, the list is growing. All this is aimed at promoting local manufacturing. There's no country that has developed the pharmaceutical sector without promoting the local manufacturers. So as pharmacists, we need to think of how to tap into the opportunities in local manufacturing. In terms of setting up the factories themselves, or supporting institutions to the factories. I participated in an inspection 3 months ago, and the manufacturer had signed a license with a company from Nairobi for pest control. I was wondering, killing rats, do we need an expert from Nairobi? These are experts these are areas that we need to think of as pharmacists. We can also create laboratories to assist these local manufacturers, just like that. Because of these policies, you can see that the number of local manufacturers has grown. We initially had like 5, but now the number is growing to 46. Not only the number, but now manufactured here. We have facilities that manufacture sterile products. Vaccines are coming on board. So all these are geared towards protecting the local manufacturers for economic growth and also national security. We are more secure if we are manufacturing drugs from here. There is also a growth in the workforce within the pharmacy sector, which we need to recognize. The numbers have now increased up to 3,000. This means that it's creating competition at the job level, meaning that we need to be equipped, and we also need to advance in terms of extra studies, but also experience. This means that as the ADSA is thinking about sticking to what is in the Act, that distribution and sale of drugs should be under the immediate supervision of a pharmacist. There is what is commonly known as one pharmacy, one pharmacist. It's working pipeline, given that the number of pharmacists have now increased. This is due to the increased number of universities, but it also creates opportunities for us in these universities to go and teach. At a national level, there are changes in health financing modules. Currently, the country operates on out-of-pocket to access medicines. But as we are aware, in 2019, the National Health Insurance Scheme was tabled before Parliament. That is something that we need to think about as pharmacists. That changes the whole dynamics on how people acquire medicines. So we need to strengthen ourselves. We need to put up systems in the pharmacies to ensure that we can meet the requirements of the National Health Insurance Scheme. Let it not find us by surprise. There are other policies like the expansion of the work of pharmacies. The Ministry of Health is accrediting pharmacies to also refill ARVs. This means that you need to have a robust record maintaining system as well as a follow-up system on patients. So we need to explore, to harness these opportunities by making our pharmacies ready. There are also changes at a global level. You saw the African Medical Agency being established, meaning that we can now get opportunities to work abroad. So those are some of the policies that are in the pharmacy sector, and the overall things that they require us to be prepared. The only thing which is not constant is change. So change is part of us. We need to embrace this. Those are the cross-cutting shifts. The overall implications of all these changes that we've talked about is that, and compliance can be driven by us, the health professionals. Let's stick back to our work. If you're responsible for a pharmacy or distributor outlet, make sure that the systems are in place. Client, the penalties are strong, and as pharmacists, we are directors in these companies. That means that we are legally liable for everything that occurs. The other thing is digital literacy and infrastructure is needed. As you can see ourselves in terms of IT, and we embrace the new technologies that are coming into place. But also, there are new opportunities because of these changes. As I said, the country's direction is on local manufacture. That means we need to equip ourselves with skills in quality assurance, good manufacturing practices, good laboratory practices, pharmacovigilances, because all this will require our skills as pharmacists. We need to think deeper on how to harness these opportunities. Way forward, as pharmacists, we need to actively engage the policymakers. We need to strengthen the PSU advocacy role. For instance, like in this National Health Insurance Scheme, we need to see that our outlets are part of the scheme. We also need to promote innovation and ethical practice. We are unfortunate that a number of our colleagues are participating in unethical practices. The agency is in court with about 10 pharmacists for operating without a license and also smuggling drugs into the country. That's not a good thing. We need to act in a very professional way, and it's not adding to our value as pharmacists. We also need to leverage opportunities in manufacturing in two ways. One, we can pool funds as pharmacists, and when we set up outlets, we can also support these outlets in terms of services like pest control, as from South Africa to calibrate the devices. These are all opportunities that we need to think about. But also at a technical level, it means that we need to learn the QA, the GMP, so that we are employable by these local manufacturers. The law says that every line should be supervised by the pharmacist. So there are very many opportunities coming in for pharmacists. Those are the thoughts that so other than that, as I said, I've been licensing. I want to take this opportunity to inform you that all license renewals are going to be handled through IRIMS. But as you are aware, we are migrating data from the old system known as DAVIS to IRIMS. So there are some details which were not captured in that system that we need to capture in the new system. These are the details that we have put here. For the premises, you need to tell us the premise number and the name. For the supervising pharmacist, your certificate of registration, the national ID, remember for this, the phone number and the email address, as well as the auxiliary staff. Those are the requirements. And then the shareholders in the company, we are not capturing their phone numbers and email addresses. This is all needed for traceability. So please, we need these documents as you are planning to apply for license renewal. You are going to send them by email to the MBS staff, and they create your account. Once they create your account, you now use the service, the guideline to make an application for license renewal. So we have put here the contacts. These are the contacts. If you're in Kampala Extra, you'll be sending your documents to Mbabazi and Lucas. You just write a mail. We don't want you to come to Kampala, to the offices that, dear Lucas, I'm renewing for this premise. You mention the name and the premise number, and then you send the other documents. And depending on the region, we have 9 regional offices, so we have put the contacts. You can copy or loop in the regional manager to follow up, and then you apply as early as possible. Please, the application window is open for license renewal. Thanks so much. I'm looking forward to any questions if you have. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mudande. He gave us a very enriching training during our series when we were learning how to use the IRAs. So at this juncture, I would like to pose a question to us, or if we have any question, first of all, we can ask just one question. Okay, we have one question.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Naikat Grace. Thanks a lot for what you told us. Yes, as pharmacists, we would wish to comply. But sincerely, as a pharmacist, there are some things that I'm no longer understanding, and yet I have to give an explanation being a pharmacist. For example, you move around with a person, telling you to help them look for location. The person has a place and you tell them, according to the guidelines, I know this distance is not enough. The next day you find our pharmacy right there. Then also, it's like our fellow colleagues are the ones who are lecturing us. I'm sorry to use this because it's not the right, it wouldn't be the right thing to use. For example, you ask a person, how come you opened their pharmacy? They tell me, I was attending here and they told me if I open a wholesale pharmacy, I can work as a retail. Meaning it's our own colleagues who are advising these people who are even not medics, but they get the advice from our colleagues. With all that, for us to comply, please, our colleagues in the please try to protect us. In a scenario in Uganda, there is a pharmacy which opened. The distance is really short. To make matters worse, the pharmacy opened on opening soon. It worked for 2 months when it has opening soon. An NDA officer came to inspect, and the distance from my pharmacy is not enough. So I'm confused. Is it a wholesale pharmacy? Is it a retail? Now it has just put pharmacy now open, but I don't know whom I'm competing with. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much for that question. We'll have one more question.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Martin. Mine is probably 2 in 1. The first one is, I forgive my ignorance, so I have to look at the data. But the regional context, and actually the African context, how much is reflected in there, right? How then do we talk about harmonization, which NDA has been trying to work with? We need the ESC, and now we have the AMA, which is all a blessing, so to say. How interlinked are the regulatory pieces in the AMA and what we are proposing. Then the second bit of the question is related to the complex. Pharmacovigilance is involved, transfer information is involved, and of course,
I wonder whether it's NDA or another body, but where they are all notes.
You are thinking of resource centers within your regional offices to do most of these things, to connect with the pharmacies in those areas, give them the backup necessary, for example, the pharmacovigilance. In terms of records and all that I saw there, to have real-time connectivity with the regional office so that pharmacies are not simply blown out because something is happening and yet first they're not brought on board until they come here, for example. And yet 90% of all these people will sooner or later, whether they want or not, based on what I see, if it works, will be going after. You have not told us how you are positioned to continue to make sure that the poor man like me in the village now enjoys the services like Bulabilo, where there is a struggle, and elsewhere in Kampala. It has also come to our small towns, where you have a population of 70,000 people, and you have 20 pharmacies. Well, for those who are investing in it, let them look at economics. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Because of time, we're only taking those questions.
Thank you so much, participants, for those questions. One of them was about location of premises. And by the way, India is trying to protect the existing outlets in terms of location. If you look at our guidelines, a new pharmacy is supposed to be like in Kampala, 300 meters from the nearby pharmacy. But also, the law, that section alone does not work in isolation. There are other sections within the guideline, like relocation, that somebody can relocate within 200 meters. There's also a section on upgrade. Somebody with an existing drug shop can upgrade within 200 meters of where he is. All this was done to promote coming up of pharmacies. So, whereas the opening statement is that a pharmacy should be 300 meters from the nearby pharmacy, there are other options that people utilize, like upgrade of a drug shop, which is within our law, within the Act, and also relocation within the 200 meters. There was a misused gap of opening up wholesales against retails. This one is being looked at, but the new law, where a wholesaler has to comply with good distribution practices, nobody will open up next to a retailer. But going to the Kisasi case itself, I'll request that you have a chat after here so that we can give you the actual details on how that pharmacy came up. As NDA, we can account for every outlet that has been licensed. And it's not out of malice, but people meet the requirements within the law. Maybe I didn't talk about this. We also had the challenge of people applying for pre-inspection. The new fees regulation has brought a fee on pre-inspection.